Hello everyone, my name is Bill Bross and I'm a developer here at Vieth Consulting, and today's video is going to cover CK Editor and how to use all the different functions on that. Now, on screen I've got our Content Manager open, and then down below that right here is the editor. This is what's called CK Editor. It's a plugin that we use to allow you guys to do a lot of easy content editing without having to know any HTML code. And you can see here there's a lot of buttons on here. It works just like a normal word processor. So in today's video, we're just going to go over how to use some of the different buttons here and what the different functions mean and how to use them. Now, we've already got some text in here. I just wanted to have something that we can look at and format. But you can add in all your own custom text here. You can add images, links, anything like that. So we're just going to go over those one at a time. The very first button up here is the source button. What this does is it switches the editor into HTML mode. Now, right now, we're looking at the what you see is what you get interface. Now, this one will let you type into it just like a word processor, and when you publish the page, it will look exactly like this. And that goes for any area in the MMS that we have, CK Editor. It's in the broadcast messaging, the news manager, the newsletter, all sorts of places in the system, and it all functions similarly. So the source mode, like I was saying, where what you see is what you get mode right now. If I switch over to source, this actually gives me the raw HTML code that it's generating for this page, and this is what it publishes out, so that's how it will render it for you. So if you know any HTML and you want to manually program it in here, feel free. Or there are specific circumstances where you'll need to copy and paste things into source mode in the editor. So if you ever hear from somebody that then you need to be in source mode in the editor first, this is what they mean. You'll just need to click this button and be in the source mode. And then you can just click it back to go back to the other mode. Some of these other buttons up here, this will let you preview what you've got. This button right here, this will load templates if you have any set up. By default, I don't believe we have any templates set up for people, but certain clients do. And if you're ever interested in us setting up templates for you to use in here, just let us know. We're happy to set those up. This button here, right here, will cut. So if I highlight something, I can just delete it by clicking the cut button. This one right here will let me copy. So again, I can copy something just by doing that. And I should say that some browsers will not allow you to cut and copy using the buttons. You can always, though, use Control-C to copy something and Control-X to cut something. So if you ever need to use the keyboard shortcuts, you can do it that way. This button right here will let you paste as plain text. And I'll pull this one up to show you exactly what that means. If you're ever using a program like Word and you want to paste something from Word into the website, always paste as plain text. The reason for that is that word processors like Word will put their own styles on things in order to, bold or do formatting or anything like that. And those styles are not compliant with web standards, and a lot of times they'll conflict with CSS and any other program we've got on the page. And you'll end up with some real erratic results. Text may not look the same, pictures may be in a different spot, and that's just because of those Microsoft Word styles. Pasting is plain text. You'll paste your text right here and say OK, and it will clean all of those out for it. So you'll have good code to work, or good text to work from, and it will code properly when you paste it to the page or when you publish it to the page. So really, that's the way to do it if you're going to paste anything from another word processor. Now, some of these other buttons up here, this is the undo button, so I can undo my last action, and here's the redo button, so I can redo the last action if I want to. This button right here is a find, so I can click that and I can look for a specific word on the page. Now, on this one, it's not a big deal because I can see everything, but you may end up with some very, very long pages with lots of text that you want to search through. So that's where you can use that. The one right next to it is a replace tool, so you can search for something and replace. So if I wanted to find all instances of the word member and replace it with something else, I can do that with the search and replace tool. This button right here will select all, so it will select everything in there for you. You can also do that alternately with Control-A on the keyboard. This button right here will remove all the formatting. So if you've got this page set up and I don't like it anymore, I want to start over, but I don't want to get rid of the text, I can remove the formatting there, and it will remove any additional formatting. Now, there wasn't a whole lot on this page, but a little bit there was. But that will clean it up for you and kind of let you start from scratch with the text you have. This one right here will maximize the editor, so you can maximize the editor, take up the whole screen if you want to. This one right here will show you blocks. This is really only applicable if you're using a lot of extra code in here. So if you want to see the different divs or the different table cells you've got set up, you can do this right here. It will show you the different blocks you've got. But for most people, you're not going to be using that one. Now, moving on to the middle row, these are a lot of tools you'll use a lot, and probably almost all of these ones. So we'll go through these one at a time. Now, these first set right here, these are all text formatting ones. So you've got your bold, italics, and underline. And you can either go down to a new area, click it, and then start typing, and it will pick that style up. Or you can highlight something that already exists, and you can click that button, and it will apply it to that. So any way that you want to do it, any of these buttons all work the same way. So we can do italicize by doing that. We can underline with this one. This one will do strike through. So if we wanted to cross something out that way, that will strike right through it. This one will do subscript, so we can make it smaller and go down to the bottom. Or this one will do superscript, so we can make it smaller and up to the top. We'll turn that off of there. These next two, this will do a numbered list, and this will do a bulleted list. And if I start these ones, we can see right here we've got a bulleted list here. If you ever right-click on the bullets, you can get the bulleted list properties here. And you can set whatever type you want. So if you want circles or discs or squares or anything like that, you can set those up. And then if I was to start a numbered list down here, we'll just start one here and type in some text so you can see. We can do the same thing with the numbered list. We can right-click on the number and say numbered list properties. And we can set it to where it starts at. So if you don't want to start at 1, you want to start at something else, you can do that. And you can also choose the type here. So if you want these to be, you want to use Roman numerals or alphabet codes instead of numbers, that's fine as well. All right. The next ones we've got here, this is the decrease indent button, and this is the increase indent. So I'm going to take the bullet or the numbered list off of here so we can see. Now, if I just do increase the indent, it will move it forward 1. The reason we have those buttons is we can't hit tab in the editor. It will just head down to the next line. So you want to make sure you want to use these if you want to indent stuff. And I can also decrease the indent back by clicking that one. I can do a block quote here. And what that does, it will look almost exactly the same as indent, except it puts this thing over here. And it will indent it on both sides. So it indents it on the left and on the right side. So you can put a really cool looking quote right in there, and it will pick up the styles that way. So we'll undo that there. Now these buttons right here, these are all text alignment tools. So you can align your text to the left, to the center, to the right, or you can justify it. And this works the same way as the other buttons. You can either highlight what you want and apply it that way, or you can start down on a new line and start this way, and you can any text that you type from then on out will be typed in that way. All right, now we come to some of the bigger functions right here. This button right here is the link button. So this is how you will add links onto your website. So say I wanted this last bullet here to be marketing workshops to be a link. All you have to do is highlight the text, and this is how I always tell people to do it, to go about it, is to type out your text for the link first, and then make it a link after that. So we've got the text right here. I'll click the link button, and it will pull up a little dialog here. Now, for 95% of your links, all you have to do is just type the link right in here where it starts you off at. So, say I wanted this link to lead to CNN.com. All I would have to type in here is www.cnn.com and say OK. And you'll see once I hover off of this, this is now a link, and it will be clickable when we publish the page. Now, say I made a mistake. I didn't actually want to link that one. I wanted to link the one above it. I can highlight this again, and I can click the Unlink button, which is right next to it. And you'll see here it has the green plus, this has the red minus. So we can unlink it, and that will remove the link from there. Now, a couple other things you can do with links, and we'll do this one again. If I click the link here and I change the dialog a little bit, the link type right here, this is for URL. This means it's going to go to another web page. And like I said, for 95% of your links, this is exactly how they're going to be set up. However, you can also do a couple other things. We can link it to an email. So if I want people to click that and I want it to open up an email client to directly email somebody, I can have it set up that way. So I can put my email address in here. And then alternately, I can put a message subject and a message body. If somebody clicks on that link, that will pull all of that info into their email client for me. But let's just say I just want my email for now. So we'll click OK. Now this link right here will go directly to my email. So anybody who clicks on that, their email client will immediately open and it will start an email to me. Now, one other thing that we can do, and you may have seen it on that screen before, is you can link to an anchor point in the text. Now, there's an additional thing we have to do to set this up. What that means, though, what an anchor point is if you've got a really long page, usually like an FAQ is the best example of this, where it's just really long, it's got lots of text, and you want to kind of have a handy list of links at the top to bring people down to the particular part of the page. What you will do is you'll set up anchor links to those ones, and then we'll be able to call those from within the page. The anchor link button is this little flag button right here, right next to the link ones. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to set these anchor points down on the page where you want them to go. So let's say that my list of links is going to be up here at top. And we'll just add some stuff up here. So we'll say link 1, link 2, link 3. So let's say this is how I want my links. And I want it to link down to text in these areas. So we're going to separate these out a little bit. So what you want to do first is you want to set your anchor point on the actual content, which is going to be down in this area. So we'll use this first part as my first anchor point. Click right there, or highlight that, and we're going to click the anchor button. And all you have to do is give it a name. So I'm going to call it, just so that I remember what it's called, we're going to call it link 1. So I'm going to have it correspond with these ones up here. And you'll see here the editor puts in a little flag right there. That's not seen when you publish the web page, but it's here when you're in the editor, so you can know where your anchor points are. So we're going to set up a couple more. We're going to call this one link 2. And we're going to call this one down here link 3. Okay, so we've got our anchor points set up. Now what we have to do is actually set up the links up here to link these together. So if we highlight link 1 and we press the link button, now what we do, instead of doing the URL, we change the link type to link to an anchor in the text. Now we can select an anchor by the anchor name. So now we've got the 3 that I set up here. So we're going to choose link 1 for that one. Now, when anyone clicks on link 1 up here, it's going to take them right to this spot on the page. And we can set up the other 2 that way as well. You just have to link them to the correct anchors, and everything will work perfectly. One final thing with links I'd like to point out, and we're going to edit a current one. In addition to highlighting and going back to the link properties, you can also right-click on any link, and you can say Edit Link from right here. One other thing, there's a couple other things you can do from here, but the most used function of these advanced ones right here is the target. And it's the second tab over. When it says not set, it just means that when they click that link, it will override the current tab that they're in. So we'll just take them to that new page. If you wanted to open in a new tab or a new window, all you have to do is pick new window, and it's underscore blank right here. That's always the one that you want to use if you want to open a new window or tab. Set it like that, and then save your link, and then that will put that information into the link, and that will open in a new tab. So if you don't want them to lose any work on the page that they're on, or you want to keep that one open, just have the link open in a new tab, that's the way to set it up. All right, so those are links. The other major function, the last one up at the top here, is the image button, and you'll use this one a whole lot. So I want to point out definitely how to use this one. What you'll do is first you'll go to where you want your image to be, or you can be anywhere on the page, but it's best to start with where the image is, and click the image button. This is going to bring up a dialog here, and right now it's blank. Now there's 2 ways to go about this. You can either search for an image that you know you've uploaded before, that say you've uploaded it through the Content Manager or through the photo album or something else like that, or you can go and upload a brand new image and use it that way. So we're going to look at how to do both right now. Clicking the Browse Server button, this is how I can look at ones that are already on my server, that in the past at some point I've uploaded to the website. So if I click Browse Server here, this gives me a list, and you'll see that it's specific to what module they're in. So these are all images that are in the file archive that are valid that I could use. This is some stuff from the photo album, the classic one. Here's some stuff from the upgraded albums. Auxiliary photos, these are ones that are uploaded through the content editor. So if you ever upload anything through this editor, that's where those will get stored at. And you can even edit these categories if you want to and move stuff around a little bit. But let's just pick from the National Parks album. I know there's some good ones in there. So any of these that we click on, it's going to open up the list, and it's going to show me exactly what photos are in there and which ones I can use. So we're going to pick this one right here. And you can pick it just by clicking on it. It's that simple. It's going to load it up into here for me, so I get a quick preview of what it's going to look like. And then I can also adjust other options on this page now. You don't want to mess with the URL. Leave that one alone once the image is in there, because it will mark that for you. But then you can mess with any of these ones down here. So we can manually change the width and the height. So if I want to make this a little bit smaller, let's say I want to make this 150 pixels wide. I can change that, and you'll also notice that it adjusted the height as well along with that. That's because this little lock ratio button is on. If I turn this off, I can switch this to whatever I want, and it will distort the image so that it keeps the height and width the same exact way. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep the ratio, and most of the times you do want to keep your ratio. And then right here you can also reset the size, and it will reset to whatever it was originally before that. Open it up a little bit. Okay, some of these other options here. You can add a border to your picture if you want to. And actually, I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller here so we can get a better idea of where the text is. Okay. So we can add a border if we want to. If you don't want a border on it, you can just leave it blank. But if you ever plan on turning this picture into a link, and you can do that the same way as text, you would just highlight the picture and click the link button. If you ever want this to be a link, always put a border of 0 in there. The reason for that is that Internet Explorer will put a big ugly blue box around it if you don't put a border of 0. It's the only browser that does that, but this will prevent it from doing that. If it sees a border of 0, it will not put that box on there. So just keep that in mind. Or, if you wanted to put an actual border on here, you can put a border, and this will give you a preview of what it will look like right there. And we're going to put 0 back in there. Okay. Now, the next 2 down here are HBase and VSpace. What these refer to are horizontal space and vertical space, and it's basically some padding around the image. I'll go into these in just a minute. It'll be easier once we talk about the alignment, which is the bottom one here. Now you'll see right here the picture is automatically pushed over to the left and the text comes to the very bottom line and then wraps down below. You almost never want it to do that. Usually what you want is for the text to wrap around the image or for the image to be by itself. If you want the text to wrap around the image, all you have to do is set the alignment on it one way or the other. So if I set the alignment to the left, the picture's on the left and the text will wrap around it to the right. If I set the alignment to the right, the picture goes to the right and the text will wrap around it to the left. Now we'll pull the left one up again. Now you'll notice something about here. The text runs right up into the image and that never looks good. That's not pleasing to the eye and it looks bad. To get around that, you add HBase. So we put like a 5 in here and that will give it 5 pixels of padding on both sides. Or you can use a 10 or something like that just to give it a little bit more. VSpace works the same way. If I put it on there, it gives me vertical space around the image. So then it really frames the image a lot better for you. And you don't have to worry about the text running right up into it. And it will look a lot nicer. All right, so we're going to say OK, and we're going to save it that way. You can see right down here we've got my image in. If I click on that one, I can actually click and I can drag it up somewhere else. If I want it to come up here, I can drag it, and it will obey what I put on it. So I told it to be to go to the left, and that's exactly what it's doing right now. You can pull it up just a little bit. If you ever want to get back into it and resize it, in any browser but Chrome, if you click on the image once, you can actually drag it to the size you want to. Chrome won't let you do that, though, for some reason. So what you can do in that case is you can right-click on the image and go back to Image Properties. And you're probably noticing the theme here. You can right-click on almost anything that you've done and go back to that menu. That's true for just about anything. So, the links right here, if I right-click on the link, I can go to edit my links. The same thing with the image. Even with the anchor tags, I can edit the anchor tags right from here. So really, the right-click gives you a lot of extra options up here that you can use in addition to these. But the images, we'll go back to these ones here. So if I right-click on the image, we'll go back to my image properties, and I can change this again. So let's say I wanted this to be like 300 instead. Oh, and I want to make sure that the lock ratio is on. And I can say OK. And now the image is much bigger, and the text will wrap around it this way. So you can manipulate this stuff any way that you want to. Or, if I wanted to align it to the right, image properties, change the alignment to the right, and say OK. And now it's over this way. So that's just a really, really easy way that you can move your images around and things like that. Now, this is dealing with an image that was already on the site. So let's say we have a brand new image that we're going to put in here. So I'm going to go down a couple lines here. We're just going to put it right in there. We click the image button again. And instead of going to Browse Server this time, we're going to go over to Upload. And it's the third tab over. Now, there's not much on this page. All you can do is you can choose the file you want, and once you've picked it, you can send it to the server. So we're going to choose our file first, and we'll just use this one. It's a nice little outdoor shot. And we'll say send it to the server. So just as easy as that, I was able to take a picture, upload it from my computer, and now it's on the server. And I can manipulate it the same ways here. So I can make it smaller, by doing that. I can align it, so we can align it to the left so the text will run up against it. We'll give it a border of 0 just to make sure if I make that a link. And then we'll give it an HBase of 10 and a VSpace of 10. So these are all just kind of standard things that you can do in the editor that will really let you help your images and make them nicer. And one thing I did not point out before, there's this alternative text up here. Anything that you type in here, this will show up in place of the image if the image cannot be displayed for whatever reason. So if somebody has images turned off on their browser or it won't load for whatever reason, it will show the alternative text in here instead. So you can always add that in there. And we'll say OK. And then right there we've got our image that we just uploaded, and we can go back and we can do any number of things to it. We can change the alignment, we can change the size, any of that kind of stuff if you want to. So that's always available there. All right, so that's the middle row. Moving on to the last row here, this is just kind of a hodgepodge of tools. This first part here, these are for headings. So there's a bunch of standard headings that websites use. Usually they run from heading 1 down to heading 6, and they get progressively smaller. We can set these up custom for you on your website if you want to be what you want. And some people will have had us set up custom styles for them. Or you can just use these as they are, and they'll be perfectly fine. And there's a couple more down here as well. You can do the format or the address ones as well. You can change the font to a different number of web-safe fonts. These are all web-safe. These will all work on any browser. So you can change the fonts to those. And you can change them on an individual page or even within the page. I suggest sticking to one font throughout the site just to make it consistent. But if you ever need to change things, that's always available right here. You can change the size of the font right here. And this is all just in pixels, so you can change to any of these. And then these tools right here, this is for text color. So if I want to change the color of the text, let's say I want to change this one right here. We'll go up there, and we can just pick another color right here. And then right now, that's that color. If you don't want to use one of those preset colors, you have a really specific color in mind, you can go down to More Colors. You can either use the selected color here and select a finer gradation, or you can actually put into this box right here, if you know the hex number, you can put the hex number right in there, and it will pick that color up. So that one right next to it is for the background highlight. So if I want the background color of this text to be something different, I can click that, and then we get a nice background color in the text, although that's hideously ugly, so don't do that. But it is possible to do this. And this color picker works the same way. You can go down to more colors, and you can manually input a color right here if you know the hex code. This button right here, this will create a div. This is not normally used by our clients, but we can use this sometimes to create some special things for you on the page. If you ever have need of this, let us know. We can help you along with this one. But like I said, it's usually not used very often. The button next to that, though, this is used a whole lot, and this is the table button. So we're going to go down here to the bottom and make a new table. This is used in case you ever want to add a table or do some formatting on your site that's different than your normal web page. So if I click on table, it gives me the little table dialog here. So I can choose the number of rows and columns that are in here. I can choose the width and the height if I want to. We can add headers anywhere here if we want to, and we're just going to leave that at none. We can choose a border on here. If I'm doing a table full of data, so I just want to have some data for people to look at in the middle, I usually leave the border on. If I'm using this for formatting, though, for any reason, I'll turn the border off and turn it to 0. You'll still be able to see the border when you're in the editor mode, but when you publish it to the site, it will be invisible. So we'll just pretend we're going to do a data table right here. Alignment, this works similarly to the images. You can put it to the left, to the center, to the right. And we'll just put this one in the center so it shows up right in the center of the page. And then you can also put a caption and a summary on here if you want to. So we're going to say OK. And right here now it publishes my table exactly how I wanted it. And I can start putting text or images or anything else that I want to put into here. So just to add text, you just start typing into it. And it will format the cells based on what you've got into there. So it will auto-adjust them for you. If you ever need to go back to the table and add anything, so say I need to add a row right in here. So we'll add my name in here so we can see. Oops, and I'm hitting tab. I forgot about that. Okay, so now we've got 4 cells set up. Let's say I need to add a row right here into the middle of those. Instead of having to shift all my data down, I can right-click here, and I can say row, and I can say insert row after, and it will create a row right there between them for me. So this works a lot like Excel. You can do the same thing with cells. So we can do cells, we can merge them, we can split them, we can insert cells before or after, we can even delete them from right here. And if you want to, you can go to cell properties, and this will give you specific stuff about the cells. So like say I wanted to make this cell specifically 500 width, I can say OK, and it's going to make sure that that is 500 width, and it's going to push the other ones to the side. So if you ever need to do any really intensive formatting, that's the way you can do it right there. All right, so go to the final buttons here. You can insert a horizontal line with this one, and all that does is just this right here. So we'll just put a line to break content up for you. This one right here will insert special characters. So if you need any special characters, like any of these ones up here, like an umlaut or something like that, you can pick them all from right here. This is just a bunch of different sets of characters you can use. And then finally, the last one right here, you can insert a page break for printing. This is hardly ever used anymore, but basically this will tell the page or tell the website when it's printing that this is a manual page break. No one will ever see this, but if you do print it a whole lot, this can come in handy. And that is the bulk of CK Editor right there. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit a ticket to us. We're always happy to answer questions about this. All right, thank you very much.